afternoon, everybody. 'Tis the season for holiday giving, but wait until you see the bonus one local businessman gave his employees. Priya, we're talking life-altering money.
I can't wait to hear all about it, Paula. Thank you. Gray skies right now, but a mix of rain and snow is on the way. We've got your holiday forecast ahead. And the search for answers in the disappearance of Danielle Stislicki of Farmington Hills is now centered on a home in Berkeley. And amid an armed robbery that sent other customers running for safety, one man, well, he didn't seem worried enough to move.
Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
Hello and welcome to First at 4. I'm Priya Mann in for Karen Drew. Time now for a look at the holiday forecast. And Andrew, record-breaking travel expected this weekend. How's it looking?
Well, for us, we're seeing dry conditions out there, clouds overhead, but nothing falling from the sky just yet. I say yet because we do have this mess of rain and snow which is approaching us. Now it's all on the light side and very scattered, so it's more like nuisance snow and rain, but it can be disruptive. Out towards Chicago, that's where they have cloudier skies, and in parts of Illinois, we have some of that rain and snow actually falling. 35 here as you look live at downtown Detroit with tankers going by. Visibility pretty good at around 5 miles. Now snow and rain do arrive closer to around 8 p.m. and afterward. In terms of amounts, anywhere north of 8 Mile, you have a better chance of seeing some snowfall. On many of the areas, we're looking at around an inch or a bit more, mainly around Pontiac northward. Same thing in places like Livingston County. But again, its arrival, it starts to get more messy as we get into the evening hours. So if you're still doing some shopping this afternoon, or if you're battling the afternoon rush hour, you have a good 3 to 4 hours before any rain or snow starts to fall. We'll talk more about Saturday and Sunday, what's on store for Christmas, what's on store for the start of next week. Could it get warmer? We'll talk about that, your complete 7-day forecast, Priya, in just a few moments.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Well, we begin in Warren, where a traffic light is in the middle of the intersection at Shaner and Common. You can see it there. Sky 4 was over the scene just moments ago, and at this point, it's unclear what caused the crash, but EMS was on scene. Right now, crews are working to clear the road, and police are investigating. The desperate search for missing Farmington Hills woman Danielle Stislicki has taken investigators to the city of Berkeley. Farmington Hills police executed a search warrant at a home there last night. They've worked with the Oakland County Crime Lab as they looked for evidence in connection to Stislicki's disappearance. At this point, police have not said what led them to the home. And just 2 days before Christmas, a Detroit family has lost everything after a fire burned down their new home. The fire started just before 1 this morning at this house on Conley Street. That's when Jane Crook woke up and noticed the flames before rushing his family out of the home. His wife and 2 daughters were taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation, but are expected to be okay. Fiat Chrysler is recalling nearly 50,000 SUVs after reports of the engines stalling while driving. The recall covers Dodge Journeys, Jeep Compasses, and Jeep Patriots from the 2016 model year. The company says a sensor in the engine can malfunction, causing the engine to stall. So far, no injuries have been reported because of the problem. Owners will be notified when to bring in their cars for repair. And First at 4, we're on top of stories making headlines around the world. Investigators are assuring the public that the most wanted man in Europe is no longer a threat. Evrod Kasmi is live in our newsroom with the latest on the man suspected of driving a truck into a crowded Christmas market in Berlin, Germany. Evrod.
Well, Priya, it was a chance encounter earlier this morning between Anna Samri and Italian police that led to a shootout ending in the suspect's death. Take a look. This is the scene today in Milan after police say the 24-year-old Tunisian man pulled out a gun and opened fire on one of the officers who had stopped him for a routine check. Now, that police officer, Christian Movio, is in stable condition with a gunshot wound to the shoulder. Today, Germany's interior minister said there's no doubt about the identity of the man police shot down.
I am very relieved that this attacker does not pose a threat anymore.
And also in Germany, police say they've detained 2 brothers from Kosovo on suspicion they were planning an attack on a shopping mall in the western part of that country. Now, there's no indication of any connection between that pilot and the attack in Berlin. So clearly, that part of Europe on edge this holiday season over one terror attack and then another one that was apparently caught in time. Priya, of course, we're keeping updates on both of these. Now back to you.
Very scary indeed. Thank you, Evrod. Well, passengers aboard a hijacked plane have all landed safely in Malta. Over 100 passengers disembarked from their plane this afternoon in Malta after hijackers surrounded the plane. Officials say 2 Libyan men forced an Afrikia Airways flight to divert from its course to Malta today. Officials say the men were armed with grenades and handguns, later found to be fakes. They threatened to blow the plane up. But after hours of flying and intense negotiations, both men are now in custody. And about 80 people had to be evacuated from this fire in Florida today. The 3-alarm fire erupted today inside a hotel in Kissimmee, which is located just south of Orlando. Crews continued to pour water on the building's walls even after the flames died down. And you can see the roof collapsed in some parts of the building. Fire officials say the blaze started in an unoccupied part of the hotel. No injuries were reported. Russian President Vladimir Putin wants to take his relationship with President-elect Trump to a new level. In a letter sent to President-elect Trump on December 15th, Putin extends an offer of cooperation to Trump, writing in part, "I hope that we will be able to bring our level of collaboration on the international scene to a qualitatively new level." Putin hopes the letter by wishing Trump his, quote, warmest Christmas and New Year's greetings. Well, speaking of holiday cheer, one local company is giving their employees plenty of joy in the form of epic bonuses. Paula Tutman is live to reveal who, and really the most important question, Paula, how much?
Well, Priya, I think epic is a pretty good word to describe this. First of all, let's talk about the businessman, Sri Thanadar, and he actually started several different businesses. During the recession, one of them failed miserably. He just pulled himself up by the bootstraps, decided to start all over again, and just recently decided to thank his employees for the epic success. The company is called Avamine, 50 workers who are basically scientific chemical sleuths who find answers to potentially life-threatening problems.
The company does chemical analysis. So when a medicine has gone bad and we want to find out what went wrong with it, or people drinking diet soda and getting sick, we want to know what is contaminating the diet soda. So we do investigative type of analysis.
This is his crew. Hardworking, super smart, super committed people who've been integral to the success in not only rebuilding, but rebuilding to the point where this company was an attractive asset and snapped up by another company. But instead of just taking his profits and walking away, Sri made arrangements in the sale to earmark holiday bonuses.
Hey guys, hey. Hey.
And not just token bonuses, but huge, life-changing bonuses. $1.5 million in bonuses that amount to each and every employee getting between $30,000 and $100,000 each.
Katie was our first employee.
That's a big amount that's making the shopping a lot easier.
Aha, Peter.
I've worked at a lot of other places where we haven't always been appreciating, more of a sort of cog in the machine. And with Dr. Thanadar, it's been great because he's really valued each hire that he's made.
So what would you do if you got a $30,000 bonus or even a $100,000 bonus?
I have definitely gotten my wife a much nicer gift than I may have normally gotten. Which she'll be very surprised.
It definitely helps keep us motivated because it makes you feel valued, it makes you feel important, and it does make you want to work harder and do well for the company.
And the really cool thing about a boss like Sri Thanadar is there is no ego or delusions of grandeur or bragging about how great he is. There is a simple, grateful humbleness that he is lucky enough to give.
And I felt good to say thank you to them.
Well, you know, I have no doubt that that company is going to be flooded with resumes in the beginning of the new year. Take a look around, Priya. Look how beautiful. We're in downtown Detroit at Campus Martius. People are skating, they are shopping, they are in the holiday feeling. I think probably most people would agree, however, as they're putting the final bows on their gifts, that the most valuable gift is being valued by those around you, including your employer. Priya? Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you, Paula. You know, real quick, was there anything about his story that made you feel like why he'd be motivated to give out such a generous gift?
You know what? I just think he's a great guy. I think he's a humble, great guy. He understands the value of talent around him, and he wanted to protect that talent and reward it. And I do think that that's fairly rare in corporate America these days. I think it's amazing. I am so glad he chose me to tell his story.
You know, and I have a feeling those employees will certainly pay it forward. Thank you so much, Paula.
You bet.
Well, holiday shoppers are out in droves today to do some last-minute shopping. Here's a look at the parking lot of 12 Oaks Mall in Novi. Oh my goodness, where thousands of people are trying to find those last-minute deals. We'll have a look at crowds at some other malls at Local 4 at 5 and 6. Very brave customers indeed. Well, still ahead, first at 4, the one thing IKEA would really like people to stop doing in their stores. Plus, U.S. troops stationed overseas in South Korea find a fun way to connect with kids there for some holiday fun. And up next, cheap new movie rental options Amazon and Google are rolling out for over the holidays and into the new year. You'll definitely want to stick around for that.
Coming up all new on Local 4 News at 5 and 6.
It's like Santa Claus came early, except these gifts aren't from Santa Claus. They're from the Village Elves of Milford. I'll explain who they're for.
Well, a new offer from Amazon and Google allows users to rent movies for just 99 cents during the holiday season. Amazon users should use the code MOVIE99 at checkout to rent any movie on its website for just 99 cents. Meanwhile, Google users just need to use the code provided to them by Google. Both sites allow you to use the deal once per account. Amazon's promotion will run until January 23rd. Google has not yet announced an end date. In South Korea, U.S. troops found some holiday cheer at a local bowling alley while helping out those most in need. U.S. soldiers gathered together earlier this week and played Santa for about 30 children at a local orphanage. They handed out gifts, talked with the kids, and even played some bowling. The soldiers saw it as a way to get their minds off missing their families while giving back to the local community. Certainly.
During this time of year, many families are away from their loved ones. Soldiers are deployed in Korea while their families are back in the United States. This is an opportunity for them to get together and to share, to give back to the local community.
And Harris says the kids call the soldiers the American Santas and bowled with them for hours before returning to the orphanage. How great is that?
Awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Certainly a win-win for everyone.
The meaning of service, the meaning of the season.
Exactly. And speaking of the season, record travel expected this holiday weekend.
Yes.
And really, we start with a rain-snow mix early.
That's right, Priya. And many folks are still shopping as well.
Yeah.
So it will be tricky out there later on this evening. Nothing to really shut any travel down around the area, in my opinion, but enough to disrupt you. So make sure you take extra precautions before heading out. Make sure you keep those safe driving skills intact. Make sure you call ahead if you do happen to have a flight. Visibility is a bit down and it gets more slippery by 8 p.m. and afterward. You can see the leading edge of some rain and snow entering portions of Lenawee County. Air is pretty dry right now, so some of these snowflakes not making it to the ground just yet, but you can see farther off to our west it is more moist down toward Indianapolis and also out toward Chicago. You can see that rain-snow line here just south of Chicago. So we're going to be playing with this rain-snow line later this evening, even after sunset. That's right, because temperatures will be around the freezing mark or slightly above. At least here in Detroit, where it's now 34 degrees. Areas south of 8 Mile may experience more rain. Areas north of 8 Mile will experience more snow. But everything on the light side. Here's my timeline for you. Remains cloudy, relatively dry. We still have some thawing going on up until about 7 p.m. Between 7 and 9, coming in from the west and southwest, rain and snow arrive. Wintry mix for the most part, especially before midnight and in the early hours of tomorrow morning. Better chance of snow north of 8 Mile and certainly north of Hall Road. That's where it will be a bit colder. Right now it's 33 for our friends in K-Pac and around Emmett. Livonia checking in at 34 degrees while it's 36 down toward Monroe. Visibility pretty manageable for now, but 3 to 7 miles. It may lower once some of this precipitation arrives. You can see as we go through this evening and tonight, there's that rain-snow line just north of 8 Mile. Some areas experiencing rain here in green, especially here in the city. Some areas experiencing more snow. Then it's out of here by tomorrow morning as early as 4 or 6 o'clock in the the morning. So it promises to be dry during Christmas Eve for last-minute shoppers. Christmas Day might have some morning fog, so you know Rudolph will be helping Santa deliver presents just before the morning. And we're looking at temperatures above freezing each afternoon. But in terms of snow totals, generally around an inch or slightly more as you get north, say in Pontiac and certainly in the Thumb. But as you notice, these are not very heavy amounts. I think we'll still see some snow possible here in Detroit, but anywhere from a trace up to a ½ inch at the most, which again is manageable, but you still need to use caution while driving. 30 degrees overnight with some of that rain-snow mix moving in. Sunrise on your Saturday is going to be at 8 o'clock straight up. Remember, those days are still getting longer and longer. We're looking at 40 degrees for a high on Saturday, and then as we go into Sunday and into Monday, we're looking at temperatures, that's right, approaching 50 degrees after the holiday. We'll talk more about the 7-day forecast coming up later on this half hour and at 5 o'clock, Priya.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Well, something strange happened to people's diets the day after the presidential election. Coming up, what Hillary Clinton supporters seem to be reaching for to ease their disappointment. And up next, what this man was so focused on to the point he ignored an armed robber waving a gun in his face. But first, as we get to break, here's your look at how the markets have closed for the day. Well, time now for a look at today's top trending stories. Check out this guy at a convenience store. Seen right here. This happened in Washington, D.C., and he is so focused on his lottery tickets, he doesn't even care an armed robbery is going on behind him. The suspects made off with close to $20,000, but that didn't faze the man with lottery tickets. Even when they waved a gun in his face, he didn't move. Fortunately, police say nobody was hurt in the robbery. So I have two questions here. I want to know if he won and how much that lottery ticket was worth, because those guys behind him made off with $20,000. Well, a sad story here. America's Got Talent host Nick Cannon will be spending Christmas in the hospital. It's been a year full of ups and downs for Cannon, who enrolled at Howard University, divorced Mariah Carey, and announced he's expecting a child all within the last 5 months. And then yesterday, Cannon announced on his Instagram he's been in the hospital for the last few days battling lupus. He says he'll be okay and should be out by New Year's. He was also tweeting about the fact that this won't stop his hectic work schedule, wishing the best for Nick Cannon. Well, IKEA is begging its customers to stop sleeping in its stores overnight. 2 years ago, IKEA invited people to camp out overnight in one of its Australia locations as a PR stunt. Well, ever since, people around the world have been trying to have their own secret sleepovers inside of IKEA. The most recent one happened last weekend in Sweden. Well, the retail giant is now threatening criminal charges to the next person who sleeps in their stores. But judging by how comfortable those beds are, I can see why that's been an ongoing problem. I love this story. It turns out the biggest winner from the election may not have been Donald Trump. Instead, it was cheesecake. It may have had the most to gain from Hillary Clinton's loss. The meal ordering app Caviar says orders for desserts such as cheesecake, pie, and ice cream went up 72% the day after the election. Meanwhile, the calorie counting app Lose It had a drop-off rate 4 times larger than usual on the same day. And I bet they're going to have a lot more ads at Caviar for the holidays. Well, ahead first at 4, the Minnesota man who's trying to win Dad of the Year with the backyard hockey rink he built for his kids. Just stunning.
Whether you spend an afternoon or the weekend, it's a local place to sip, savor, and experience wine.
It's kind of off the beaten path.
I'm Kimberly Gill. Come take a ride with me and I'll show you where the fun is being uncorked.
Oh, sign me up for that. Finally, first at 4, one dad in Minnesota went the extra mile with his Christmas decorations this year.
He certainly did. Usually Christmas lights are used just around the house or the yard, but this dad installed Christmas lights underneath his homemade hockey rink.
And every year, Sean Carlson's wife wants him to do something crazy for their Christmas lights. So this year, he decided to install Christmas lights under the family's ice rink. So far, it's been a huge success, especially for the kids.
We had to skate on it, there's cool lights, and it's awesome.
Carlson says the main reason he installs the lights are for his kids, but he's glad the rest of the neighborhood can enjoy it as well.
Nice.
I know, it's wonderful. Well, thank you for joining us first at 4. We're back in a half hour with Local 4 News at 5. Inside Edition is next.